Welcome to Wintering Weather, a Your Weather Authority special. A look at this coming winter from your Weather Authority team. Presented by Windy Hill Furniture.
Hello, I'm Chief Meteorologist Joe Murgo.
And I'm meteorologist Christy Shields.
Winter is nearing, and it's the season that can most impact our lives.
And as your weather authority, we want you to be most prepared. So over the next half an hour, we're going to get you ready for the upcoming winter season.
And before we get to the forecast of the winter, let's take a look back at last winter and how our Wintercast did. Compared to average, last winter was dry for much of the nation, including parts of our area. Wetter areas were confined to the extreme northwest and from the middle of the nation to the mid-Atlantic coastline. Temperature-wise, the northern part of the nation, including here in central Pennsylvania, was warm, while the deep south of our country experienced a cold winter. In a snapshot, here is how our Wintercast did last year. Winter started and finished mild, much like our prediction. February was a wild card. We had our ups and downs like I thought, but the first half of the month put us a good deal below average, which wasn't anticipated. Last winter finished off with close to average snowfall. In our forecast, we said it would be slightly below average, but feel that was still a pretty accurate forecast considering rumors of heavy snowfall. Now let's take a look at how well my bold predictions worked out. I called for one, maybe two storms of 6 inches or more. We had two, one in mid-December, one at the very start of February. I'll give that a big thumbs up. My forecast was for a variety in precipitation. I'll give that another thumbs up with rounds of snow, ice, and rain. The forecast said it would be a mild winter, probably in the top 10. An almost full thumbs up for this. We finished off mild, ending up in the top 18 warmest for Altoona, even with that rough stretch in February. Lastly, I called for less snow, finishing in the top 20 least snowy winters. I'm going to go with a neutral thumb. It finished right in the middle of the pack when it comes to winter snowfall. I mentioned average a lot in that recap. These averages, though, do change. The National Centers for Environmental Information generates the official average temperatures every 10 years, ending on a decade. This year, our averages were switched from the 1981 to 2010 group to the 1991 to 2020 data set. Most of the United States has warmed since the previous decade, and in some places by a lot. The only spots that cooled were in the north-central part of the nation. The eastern two-thirds of the nation have turned significantly wetter. The drought-stricken areas in the southwest got even drier. So let's look at our area. There are some significant differences.
I think the story with the shift up 10 years has been basically a focus on how much moisture or really how wet the atmosphere is. And so we see that in two different ways. We see it first in the amount of precipitation. So we've seen a general increase in the amount of precipitation,
which is shown through our many flooding events over the past few years. The other thing the moisture does?
Humidity leads to warmer nights, and that's been a really notable trend.
Our new average temperatures across the board are about a couple of degrees higher than the last data set. Average temperatures are rising, and winter is the season that they rise the most. That can impact agriculture and winter recreation. Fruit trees like apples and peaches rely on the winter's cold. Higher temperatures during the colder season can negatively impact crops.
One of the things that's really hurt us is sometimes I found lately, these last couple winters, our December might be kind of cold and snowy, but then we start getting warm pockets throughout January and February. And each one of those warm pockets starts developing these buds on the trees and just makes them start to grow, and then it makes it quicker for them to bloom whenever we get to spring.
Those trees need to be dormant before producing fruit for the following year. A shrinking winter chill period hurts that development. A frozen ground keeps the trees dormant. Once the soil warms, they begin to absorb nutrients and get ready to blossom. A warming average low temperature also influences the growth.
Nighttime lows have also gotten a little bit warmer, and what that does is it makes the fruit mature more rapidly. And especially a lot of times those are the summer temperatures when we're picking peaches. And so what it's done is it's sped up the peaches ripening on the trees. So we have to go over them more frequently than what we used to in the past.
Less snow accumulation and conditions that are too warm for snowmaking can also threaten winter sports-based areas.
What's more important for us is the consistent cold weather, the ground freezing, and also the proper humidity in order for us to make snow, to be able to open.
A warmer winter season that quickly transitions to spring can bring an abrupt end to the winter recreation.
We had tons of natural snow last year, especially in mid-December and pretty much all the way through January and February, and then all of a sudden, like 70 degrees came in March, and all that snow we thought would last through March didn't last through March.
An early close or late start to the ski season means lost revenue for the resort and sideline businesses. The severity of impacts to agriculture and winter recreation will continue to be driven by rising average temperatures.
Coming up, an inch of rain, how much snow would that be? I'll let you know.
Then later, I've crunched the numbers and looked into the data. I'll give you my Wintercast.
You're watching Wintering Weather, a Your Weather Authority special, presented by Windy Hill Furniture.
Welcome back. Watches, warnings, and advisories. We hear these words all the time, but what do they mean? It depends on where you live. Let's do a recap of the differences between these weather alerts. A watch means it is not happening yet, but conditions are favorable for something to occur. A warning means it is happening and it is life-threatening, while an advisory means it is happening, still impactful, but as to life-threatening, it's more of a nuisance. Now, in the winter, for these alerts to be issued by the National Weather Service, certain thresholds need to be met. Winter storm watches are typically issued 24 to 48 hours out from a potential event. Its purpose is to give you enough time to prepare. There are 3 things that could happen to a watch. It could upgrade to an advisory or warning, or if things change, it could just disappear. A winter weather advisory is issued if we could expect 3 inches or more of snowfall, or a trace of ice in a 12-hour span of time. A winter storm warning is issued if 6 or more inches of snow is expected to fall in 12 hours, or if 8 or more inches of snow falls in 24 hours. A warning can also be issued if we are expecting a quarter inch of ice in a 12-hour span for most of our area. The threshold for Elk and Cameron counties is higher, a half an inch of ice or more in a 12-hour span. A wind chill advisory also has different criteria across our area. It is issued when wind chills drop to lower than 10 degrees below zero in Indiana and Jefferson County, while the rest of our counties here in central Pennsylvania, wind chills need to drop to 15 degrees below zero or more. A wind chill warning is issued for all counties when wind chills are 25 degrees below zero or more. One of the most dangerous for motorists in our area is a snow squall warning. A snow squall is defined as a quick burst of snow with gusty winds that can reduce visibility down to less than a quarter mile. While not enough snow for a warning, these cause the most accidents on the roads, including the major pileups on I-80. With no set criteria for this type of warning, this is difficult for the National Weather Service to issue, but be assured, if this is issued, make sure to find a safe place to park your car to wait out the short-lived burst of snow. Blizzard warnings are the most misunderstood warnings. A blizzard warning can be issued even if the snow has stopped falling. For a blizzard warning, you need sustained or frequent gusts at 35 miles per hour or stronger, with falling or blowing snow. These conditions need to last for at least 3 hours. The snow is falling fast and beginning to pile up. There is a proper way to measure. We went to the National Weather Service to learn how. Getting reliable snow and ice measurements from across the area is very important to the National Weather Service and TV stations like us here at WTAJ.
If we don't get the reports called in or relayed to us, we don't know, because there's no way for us to remotely sense. So say with radar, we can't tell exact snow amounts. So very important, and appreciate them all.
The National Weather Service even uses a network of spotters that you can sign up for.
You can contact us at the Weather Service. Aaron Taberski, he's our observations program leader. He trains all of our observers on temperature reporting, precipitation, snow reports. So it goes through that. We also touch on it in our storm spotter training. So we go through a winter weather segment where we detail how to do that in there as well.
And if you want to measure snowfall properly, we've got Aaron here to teach us. It doesn't take much equipment, just a ruler and a board.
What we like to do is have a solid surface somewhere in an open area, and you can also put some type of identifier, maybe a little pole with an orange flag on it or a piece of wood, so that if the snow does build up quite deep, you'll know where your board is, and you can measure that way as well. So that's the best way to measure snow to get an accurate reading.
A cutting board will work, or a piece of wood. If you can, paint it white so that the snow does not melt as fast off of your board. The white board is important for accurate measurements.
If you don't put down a board or something like that, and you just stick the ruler down into the grass, you can see that if we did that, the ruler goes all the way down to the dirt, and the snow sitting on the top of the grass may already be starting at, let's say, 3 inches or something like that. So you're going to get an inaccurate reading.
We measure in tenths of an inch for recording snowfall, and you can also measure ice amounts during mixed events.
For ice, the best way to measure ice is using a tree branch. You can go see the ice build up on a tree branch, and you would put your ruler along there and get a look at how much the ice goes from the center of the branch down to the outside of the ice, or the edge of the branch down to the outside of the ice. But you want to make sure that you don't measure the entire encased branch, because that would be double the amount.
You measure 3 inches of snow. How much water is in it? The answer is not simple. A snow ratio is how much water would be there if you melt the snow. The old saying goes, on average, there's about 1 inch of water for every 10 inches of snow that falls. However, there can be a lot of factors that can adjust this ratio. The higher the ratio, the more snow you will need to equal 1 inch of rain. To help visualize this concept, we can do an experiment. Keep in mind this will only be an estimate. This is a video from the past winter when we did this exact experiment. After a snow event happens, put snow into a jar and see how far up the jar the snow measures. Now let the snow sit and melt. Check back when all the snow melts and measure the jar again. This will give you your snow to liquid ratio. Again, this is going to be just an estimate because some of the water content will evaporate back into the air. Every storm will have a different ratio because there are many factors that impact it. This includes the temperatures not just at the ground, but through the entire layer of the atmosphere stretching to the clouds. The warmer the layer or closer it is to 32 degrees, the lower the ratio will be. In this scenario, what was once a 10-to-1 ratio may shrink to 3-to-1. The colder it is, the more snowfall you'll need to equal an inch of water. Snow that falls in very cold air may have a snow-to-rain ratio of 40-to-1 or higher. Another factor has to do with supercooled water droplets in a cloud. What are these droplets? Despite what you learned in school, water doesn't always freeze into ice when it's below the freezing mark of 32, meaning the supercooled water remains in the cloud. If the cloud contains more of those droplets, then the ratio will be lower. If the cloud has more ice crystals compared to water droplets, the ratio will be higher. Wind can also impact snowflakes as they fall to the ground, leading to higher ratios. An easy thing to remember than the age-old 10 inches of snowfall is equivalent to 1 inch of rain is that if it is a mixed precipitation event, there will be more water content in the snow, meaning a lower ratio compared to just a good old-fashioned snowfall.
Coming up, does the wind chill actually lower the temperature outside? I'll break down the details.
And a cold wind can wreak havoc on your skin. I'll tell you how to be safe.
You're watching Wintering Weather, a Your Weather Authority special, presented by Windy Hill Furniture.
We talk a lot about wind chill during the winter season, but what does that actually mean? Wind chill is based off of two things, temperature and wind. Wind affects the heat loss from exposed skin for both people and animals. Still air is a great insulator from temperature changes. When the wind is calm, there's a layer of still air and heat around your body that keeps you warmer. Under those conditions, the wind chill equals the actual temperature of the air. Windy conditions break up the bubble of warmth around you, and moving air transports heat at a much faster rate. That, combined with the evaporation of moisture from your skin, speeds up the heat loss process and makes you feel colder. The lower the wind chill, the more dangerous it is to you to develop hyperthermia or frostbite. Frostbite is a condition where the tissue in your skin will freeze and cause permanent damage. However, the wind chill doesn't actually change the temperature of the air. Therefore, nothing, including your skin, will actually freeze with just the wind chill below zero without the temperature actually being below zero too. But that wind can really damage your skin, can't it, Christy?
That's right, Joe. The wind, the cold, and also the dry weather in the winter, but there's ways to protect it. We all know to moisturize our skin during the winter months, but there are other ways we can help keep our skin from drying out. Dr. Eva Parker is a board-certified dermatologist. She says it's important to avoid scrubbing your skin.
Our skin is like a coative armor for us, and we have a dead layer that is meant to be there. It naturally exfoliates, and when we go to mechanically remove it daily with scrubbers, we actually end up dehydrating our skin and creating a situation where irritants and pathogens and bacteria can get in, and air pollution, and then we leak moisture, and it really damages our barriers.
Dr. Parker's other top tips for our skin: take warm showers and keep them less than 10 minutes. You'll also want to use a mild soap and moisturize. But what about chapped lips? If you guessed chapstick, you'll want to think again. Products like that can actually dehydrate your lips over time.
Yeah, that is a really common problem. And then we make it worse because our lips are chapped and we keep licking them, which makes them even more chapped. And so I would recommend a greasy emollient-based lip balm. And honestly, Vaseline works great. It's easy to find and inexpensive, but there are other greasy ones that you can use as well.
One last thing, Dr. Parker suggested using a broad spectrum SPF 30 sunscreen on your face and neck. While winter doesn't seem like the time to lather up, just like an overcast day at the beach, bad UV rays can still break through the clouds, damage your skin, and cause wrinkles. Coming up, it's what you've all been waiting for, Joe's Wintercast.
You're watching Wintering Weather, a Your Weather Authority special, presented by Windy Hill Furniture.
Welcome back. It's time to reveal what to expect for the winter season. Joe, you love forecasting long range.
I do love studying it, and I've learned through my decades of winter forecasting that the key lies in the oceans.
For the past 2 years, the equatorial Pacific has been cooler than average. This means La Nina is back. When the temperatures change in the largest ocean, it does impact weather patterns across the world. Here in the United States, La Nina usually brings an active storm track to the Pacific Northwest. Cold air masses are also ushered in by the polar jet stream more to the Intermountain West and northern plains. Across the south to the mid-Atlantic coast, this tends to give us a dry and warm weather pattern. The correlation, though, for us here in Pennsylvania is not as strong. Since La Nina is not our best predictor of winter, we look for other signs. There is a large pool of cool water along the Gulf of Alaska. This hasn't been there in almost a decade. The cool water could help the jet stream to dip southward before it enters over North America, leading the core of colder air to our west, though this chilly air will sneak at times eastward. When looking at our big storm potential, we look to the water temperatures off of the east coast. At this time, there is not too much warmth except off the northeast coastline. That may keep our big storm potential limited again this year. The last thing to look at is the growth of snow and ice from Siberia into Canada. This plays a big role in the production of cold air. This fall, the growth has been a lot slower compared to recent years. This means it may not be the year for many sub-zero mornings. I take all of these signs and compare it to similar winters in the past. This year, I found a strong correlation to the setup for the winter of 2005 to 6, along with similarities to 2008 to 9 and 2011 to 2012. So let's break down this to your Wintercast. I'm expecting winter to come on strong early. Cold will really dominate our weather in December. Compared to average, it may be the coldest month of the winter season. It may seem like winter will disappear at times during the month of January. I'm forecasting the month to be above average. There could be some runs at 60-degree days that may wipe out our snow cover. I'm already anticipating the photos of robins coming in. No pattern lasts forever, and there should be some bouts of cold in February. Nothing too extreme, but enough to remind us that it is still winter. Odds are March will not be as warm and snowless as last year, but should still be milder than average. Forecasting a single snowfall amount is impossible. We normally have a wide variety of snowfall in central Pennsylvania. This year, I believe the main storm track will be to our west, leaving us with some wintry mixes. However, during the cold month of December, we likely will have our snowiest time and travel issues, especially west of I-99. Our snowfall forecast ranges from less than 20 inches in the deeper eastern valleys, with some of the Laurel Highlands getting up to 80 inches. Here is my forecast to the impacts to you. Utility usage will be below average, but high prices will likely give you higher bills. Salt demand will be about average. Travel and schedule disruptions should be below average, with exception of the month of December. Finally, I will leave you with a couple of bold predictions. I think we are going to have only one, maybe two big storms of 6 inches or more, most likely in December. I also think there will be 2 stretches of warmth with temperatures reaching at least 50 degrees.
There you have it. We hope that you're prepared for the upcoming winter.
And no matter what happens, remember your weather authority will be with you through the whole season.
Thank you for watching Wintering Weather, a Your Weather Authority special, presented by Windy Hill Furniture.